A single gunshot shattered the peaceful afternoon, but it was not the feared Mafia boss who collapsed to the polished restaurant floor. It was the young waitress who had thrown herself in front of him without a second of hesitation. As terrified customers screamed and chairs crashed across the dining room, one question echoed through everyone's mind: why would an ordinary woman sacrifice her own life to save the most feared man in the city? If you believe kindness can change even the darkest heart, if you believe forgiveness is stronger than revenge, and that ordinary people can become extraordinary heroes, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing stories that inspire compassion and second chances. The afternoon sun poured through the restaurant's large windows, giving the elegant dining room a warm glow that made everything feel peaceful. 27-year-old Brielle Carter moved gracefully between tables with a welcoming smile that never revealed how exhausted she truly was. She had spent years working double shifts after losing both of her parents in a highway accident. Every paycheck helped support her younger sister, who dreamed of becoming a nurse. Brielle had quietly buried her own dream of attending culinary school because family always came before herself. Her kindness was not something she turned on for customers. It was simply who she was. Just after lunchtime began, a convoy of luxury vehicles stopped outside the restaurant. Every conversation inside seemed to fade as a tall, sharply dressed man stepped through the entrance. His name was Declan Mercer, a businessman whose wealth was unquestionable and whose reputation terrified the entire city. Officially, he owned shipping companies, hotels, and investment firms. Unofficially, people whispered that he controlled a criminal empire stretching far beyond the city's borders. No one challenged him. No one asked questions. Fear followed him everywhere he went. The manager nervously instructed every employee to avoid mistakes. Brielle simply nodded and continued working. To her, every customer deserved respect regardless of what rumors surrounded them. When she approached Declan's table, something unexpected happened. Instead of demanding special treatment, he politely thanked her, asked how her shift was going, and even noticed that she looked tired. It was such a small act of kindness that it caught Brielle completely off guard. Wealthy customers rarely looked beyond the uniform she wore. As the afternoon continued, Brielle noticed another man enter the restaurant. Unlike everyone else, he ignored the hostess, refused to look at the menu, and kept his eyes fixed on Declan. Years of serving hundreds of customers had sharpened Brielle's instincts. Something about the stranger's slow movements and tense expression felt dangerously wrong. Her heart began racing when she saw his hand disappear beneath his jacket. Time suddenly seemed to slow. Without thinking, Brielle dropped the tray she was carrying and screamed for Declan to get down. She threw herself across the aisle at the exact moment the gunman pulled the trigger. The bullet struck her shoulder instead of Declan's chest. The deafening shot sent customers diving beneath tables as dishes shattered across the floor. Security guards tackled the attacker before he could fire again, but the damage had already been done. Brielle collapsed into Declan's arms, her uniform stained with blood. The feared man, whose name alone frightened powerful people, knelt helplessly beside the woman who had just saved his life. His hands trembled as he pressed against her wound, desperately trying to slow the bleeding while emergency services rushed toward the restaurant. Even through the pain, Brielle looked around the dining room, making sure no children or customers had been hurt before closing her eyes. Her final conscious thought was relief that everyone else appeared safe. Doctors spent hours in surgery removing the bullet. The injury was serious, but she survived. Outside the hospital, reporters flooded the entrance hoping to capture dramatic photographs of Declan Mercer. Instead of speaking to the media, he quietly remained in the waiting room for hours, refusing to leave until doctors confirmed Brielle would recover. When Brielle finally opened her eyes the following afternoon, sunlight streamed through the hospital window. Fresh flowers rested beside her bed along with a handwritten note thanking her for saving a life that many believed did not deserve saving. She assumed the gift had come from co-workers until a nurse quietly explained that Declan had visited every day since the shooting. The news spread quickly across the city. Some people called Brielle reckless for protecting a man with such a dark reputation. Others praised her courage, insisting that every human life had value. Television debates filled the airwaves while social media exploded with arguments, but Brielle refused to pay attention. She had never asked herself who Declan was. She had simply seen another person seconds away from death. The experience changed Declan in ways no one expected. For years he had surrounded himself with people motivated by fear, money, and loyalty bought through power. Brielle had risked everything without expecting anything in return. That single act of selflessness forced him to question the life he had built. As Brielle recovered through weeks of physical therapy, Declan quietly paid every medical bill without seeking recognition. He also arranged a full scholarship for Brielle's sister so she could complete nursing school without financial stress. When Brielle discovered what he had done, she thanked him but reminded him that kindness could never erase the mistakes of the past. Real change required different choices every single day. Those words stayed with Declan. Months later, after Brielle had regained full strength, Declan invited her to visit an old storefront on a quiet street filled with sunshine. Inside stood a beautifully renovated bakery complete with professional ovens, polished counters, and shelves waiting to be filled with fresh bread. Hospital staff had once mentioned Brielle's dream of owning a bakery, and Declan had listened. Overcome with emotion, Brielle accepted the building on one condition. The bakery would never belong to fear or obligation. It would become a place where everyone, regardless of wealth or background, would be welcomed with dignity. The bakery opened several months later under the name Morning Grace. Every afternoon, one table remained reserved for anyone who could not afford a meal. No questions were asked. No one was judged. Families, students, elderly neighbors, and struggling workers all found warmth inside its doors. Declan visited quietly from time to time, never asking for special treatment. He stood in line with everyone else, paid for every purchase, and anonymously donated food to local shelters. People gradually noticed something changing. Businesses once linked to corruption began operating honestly. Community centers received unexpected funding. Scholarships appeared for children from struggling families. Declan never claimed he had become a perfect man. He simply decided that the life he almost lost had been returned to him for a reason. Years passed, and the scar on Brielle's shoulder became a quiet reminder of one extraordinary afternoon. Whenever customers asked about it, she simply smiled and said that courage was never about deciding who deserved saving. Courage meant choosing compassion even when fear demanded otherwise. Before this story comes to an end, we'd love to hear from you. What do you think was the greatest lesson in Brielle's incredible act of courage? Would you risk your own safety to save someone you knew nothing about? Please leave your answer in the comments because your thoughts may inspire someone else today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Always remember that true courage asks for nothing in return, true kindness sees humanity before reputation, and sometimes one selfless decision made in the brightest moment of the day can change not just one life, but countless lives forever.